government has put in place to cushion the, measures the government has put in place to cushion the tourism sector, players, business and investments in the tourism and hospitality industry, including but not limited to waivers and amnesties on tax, tourism licenses, and Kilifi North. Mr. Speaker, in particular,
Honorable that have been given by Honorable Mo.
But now they are being told that they have to pay for those licenses. And I think it's important, those from the lake region and the ocean region, we will form our own caucus to ensure that
the members are satisfied. But we are on your mask.
Endangering us.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You know, Honorable Speaker, the statement, the answers that have been given by Honorable Mwadhi, whom I trust and I respect so much, is that it seems all the members are satisfied. But we are satisfied by the response after losing lives. Are the parents of the Kianchoma brothers satisfied? Are the parents of those who perish satisfied? Why don't we try to prevent some of these loss of life, Honorable Speaker? Currently, Honorable Speaker, we have seen what have happened in Kondele now. There is violence, there is stoning of the car or the entrance of the Deputy President, Honorable Speaker. Honorable, as expected, Honorable Speaker,
Order. Honorable Sankok. Honorable Sankok, take your seat, please. Now, the members, just a minute, honorable members. Order. Okay, just take your seat. The two members who made request for the statement have said they are satisfied with the answer. They did not talk about satisfaction with any other activity that has come there. And secondly, if you have any other issue, make a statement request. Make a statement request. So I think that is a matter that is settled. It is settled. Let's not. No, you don't need. No, I'm not. I have not asked you for apology. So let's go to the next order. The next order. Oh, sorry. We have the tourism. The question on sports and tourism. No, you don't.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, Honorable Sankok, you want to apologize? Luckily, you are very close to the Honorable Nasir. Quietly apologize to him there. Okay, proceed. Okay.
Thank you. The recommended status of the Safer Tourism Resilience Seal by the global body, Rebuilding Travels in August 2020. Secondly, the Ministry, in consultation with stakeholders, has developed a tourism remodeling strategy 2021-2025 that seeks to double tourism earnings revenue by 2030 and whose focus is on 1, repositioning the magical Kenya as a premium brand to attract international tourists from diverse source markets and segments. Number 2, measures for easing travel into Kenya through recognition of PCR COVID test certificates and lobbying for timely lifting of negative travel advisories. Number 3, aggressive marketing in new international source markets, such as the Chinese, while maintaining and improving presence in traditional source markets and incentives for our domestic travelers. Number 4, develop carefully assessed and selected tourism products for niche markets, such as birding, game viewing of rare and unique wildlife, such as the Dugang dolphins, white rhino, among others, mountain climbing, and running with the marathoners. Mr. Speaker, number 5, strengthening the Tourism Protection Service to enhance safety and security in the destination. Number 6, strengthen enforcement of regulation on short-term accommodation rentals for visitors to different parts of the country. Number 7, introduction of tourist ferry services along the Kenyan coast. Number 8, policy intervention on beach properties by securing them to remain for tourism-centric use and requirement. For owners to improve them or be subjected to accelerated land taxation or acquisition. Number 9, lobby for a policy towards extended holidays for the citizens when public holidays fall on weekends. Number 10, freeing of the Kenyan airspace to other international airlines. This has led to KLM, Lufthansa, Qatar, Emirates, and Ethiopian Airlines having regular scheduled direct flights to Mombasa International Airport, in addition to the resumed European charter flights under the new normal. Number 11, development and implementation of meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. Strategic collaboration with the private sector, county governments, and other relevant stakeholders to ensure redistribution of international and domestic tourism in the country. Number 12, reducing seasonality by hosting mega annual events like the East African Safari Rally and hosting international sports events like the just concluded Under-20 World Athletic Championships during the low season months. Number 13, continuous research on tourism sector priority issues for timely remedial policy interventions. Number 14, positive working relationships with countries to Mombasa County for the design of Jomo Kenyatta public beach facilities, Malindi waterfront for Kilifi County, and digital packaging of tourism attractions for Moreb counties. Number 15, Mr. Speaker, lobbying and appeal in various forums for peaceful campaigns, conduct of peaceful general elections, and maintenance of peace before and after the August 2022 election results. Mr. Speaker, measures put in place to cushion tourism sector players during the pandemic include that the ministry, through the then Tourism Finance Corporation, disbursed economic stimulus funds to the sector players comprising of hoteliers, restaurant operators, tour operators, and tourist
How much more time do you require?
attractions. About 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Yes, attraction to the...
No, you'll have to summarize. 5 minutes is too much.
Mr. Speaker, you know this is a response from the minister. I may not summarize because it's written.
Well,
So let me try to put the highlights. Yeah, to the tune of 2 billion Kenya shillings the financial year 2021 financial year. Kenya Tourism Board was allocated Kenya shillings 1 billion for innovative and targeted marketing campaigns. They were able to undertake the following programs. Mr. Speaker, 1, the Magical Kenya Signature Experiences program. This was put in February 2021. And we have had 29 new experiences, which were enlisted into the Kenya Signature Experience Collection. To date, there are 44 diverse and authentic Kenyan travel experiences for travelers to pick from during their next holiday to Kenya. Additional promotions have been undertaken over the social media platforms, webinars, emails, and the newsletters to Kenya. Key source markets locally and internationally for the last 1 year. Number 2, they've engaged in safety travel digital campaigns. Travelers and investors alike are keen on their safety during this period of COVID-19 pandemic. They are therefore out to be updated or reassured of their safety to the destinations they want to travel. To safety and travel campaigns were one of the strategies to address the safety concerns as the traveler. And this was through development of online content, mobilize publicity on the vaccination of hospitality staff, rally hospitality industry to showcase preparedness in mitigating the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, preparation of continuous destination update to share with the source markets and travel trade. Mr. Speaker, number 3, on the training and sensitization of tour guide drivers on safety protocols, the ministry, being the first people to come in contact with travelers and visitors into the country, tour guide drivers play a key role in installing confidence among visitors on destination preparedness against COVID-19. During the period, KTB hosted a series of sensitization workshops in Nairobi and the coastal region, targeting tour guides and drivers. And Mr. Speaker, The main objective of this was to share content of Magical Kenya safety protocols as guided by the Ministry of Health, among other tips.
Actually taken 2 minutes and it was automatically disconnected. We can, let's see, press the intervention slot.
Mr. Speaker, the member had sought for more than 7 statements, and I was just going through them. But anyway, because
what
given 2 minutes,
what you do, the Honorable Chair, let me just tell you, since the person who would want to have this statement is the member, he probably has a copy. We could do summary, really, because sometimes, you know, the ministry can send us very long issues, and yet when if they can implement just a few of what they are saying, we'll be talking about numbers going up. So just summarize, then see if the member can have something on it.
in summary, Mr. Speaker, I am sure the member has been given this copy of this response, and I invite him to go through it. In case he's not satisfied, Mr. Speaker, on Thursday of next week, the minister is coming here, and maybe he can seek further clearance, further clarification from the minister. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Let's have the member, Honorable Bayer, and I hope you are not going to have too much to say to that.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you, and I would like to thank the Honorable Mayor for actually reading through such a long, tedious statement. Honorable Macau. And Mr. Speaker, what disappoints me about this statement is that what the minister has done is just lifted some strategic plan documents in the ministry and put them together and given to us as a response. And therefore, it does not tally in any way to the statement as requested. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, the most important questions within this request for statement were actually question 5 and 6. But if you look at that statement, what the minister writes is actually an embarrassment. Because what he says at the end is that this matter, whose policy mandate is not within the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. So when I asked about the question on could the government consider rolling out economic recovery support measures? Economic recovery support, the president recently gave economic recovery programs for certain sectors, but he left out the tourism sector. And I thought it would be the duty of the minister to actually respond here by saying they have made a request that the people who work in the tourism sector who have suffered because they have no jobs, they are, they have been thrown out there, that they would get support just like the coffee farmers that I had the president talk about, the tea farmers and all that, which the minister does not make any effort at all to address those issues. And I think that is really, really unfortunate for a minister who actually comes from this rich tourism region.
Order, Honorable Chieng. Don't do that again, Honorable. Is that Honorable Chieng? Yeah, don't do it again. I mean, yeah, so proceed.
I want also to say this. The question on what measures is the government putting in place to enable fully vaccinated travelers into and out of the country? The minister says that this is not his mandate. Yes, we know, but he coordinates the Ministry of Tourism, and therefore he should sit with the minister in charge, the CS in charge of health, to come up with a program to vaccinate people in and out of the country. They should be at the forefront so that tourism is actually helped out of the quagmire that it is in. I have one of the questions here is what economic measures are there available to help tourism stakeholders, those who have loans they cannot pay because the tourism sector went into a slump. There are hoteliers today, if you told them open because we have travelers coming in, they cannot open because they are not able to pay their tax. KRA is there because there was a slump. They cannot pay their loans, and banks have refused to reschedule, and therefore they will not have money to, they cannot pay land rates, they cannot even pay for water, they cannot pay for electricity. It is the duty of government to make a good environment for the tourism sector. But if the minister runs away and says that this is not our mandate, the minister runs away and says, talk to the Minister of Treasury, talk to Treasury about these issues. Mr. Speaker, we need to have serious people at the Ministry of Tourism. My area, my constituency, my county relies 90%.
What is it, Honorable Dwale?
90%.
Speaker, with a lot of respect to Honorable Baya, these are the engagement he should have made at the committee level when the CS was present.
Mr. Speaker,
So,
the CS never came. He only brought a statement. The Honorable...
I have not finished. I have not finished. Learn the procedures. We have been here many years, 14 years. Yeah, learn. Chair, I think what he's asking is basically he's blaming the CS. I want to ask the chair, was he there during that time? And if he was not there, then the chair is saying next Thursday, if you're not satisfied, the CS will be coming. Chair, I think you was not there.
Actually, I think you have hit it. Personally, I think that statement really would be too detailed but not satisfying at all. You know, the CS should come with numbers. When he has put these measures, did tourism numbers increase, for example? You see, there are simple things that, because we need to get out of the conservative way of marketing tourism. And I think that is something that probably we would have the member appearing before your committee on Thursday as you have asked, so that he can come and ask some of these questions and get responses there. Because it is actually not enough to put a very long statement that gives the general details. So what do you have to say there, Chair?
Mr. Speaker, I hear you. However, I must admit that when the minister was in, it was during the recess period, the Honorable Baya never turned up. And number two...
No, let's be very clear on that, because then if that is the case, then it's Baya who is on the wrong.
Number two...
Let's get to clarify that. When was the minister in your committee?
It was...
And whether he was invited?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
On this very same...
And Mr. Mbaya, my secretariat tried to reach you, and they said that you gave an apology. You could not make it. And number two, Mr. Speaker, I agree with him partly. I know this minister, this particular minister, does not respect summons from our committee, and this time he came. However, Mr. Speaker, one thing I want to appreciate, Mr. Mbaya comes from Coast. The same CS comes from Coast. And here they have a caucus for tourism. Mr. Speaker, I invite him to invite his brother so that these pertinent issues they can rise together. However, Mr. Speaker,
let's not engage in other forums.
However, Mr. Speaker, on Thursday, the minister is in my committee. I invite him to come and give these clarifications. I thank you.
Honorable Baya, tell us, Honorable Baya. Honorable Baya, please give Honorable Baya the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to be very categorical that I was never consulted or invited for any meeting by any officer from that committee. And I would have availed myself because I was available in this country. I would have come to, because this is important to me. But Mr. Speaker, I think this minister has been we raised another issue about Ronald Ngala. The minister never appeared. We made 10 summons to him. He never appeared to the committee to answer any question. It is tradition of him never to appear in Parliament. And I also want to say, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the last, and this is arrogancy, he tells us, it is my humble submission that the above two matters, numbers 4 and 5, requires interministerial consultation and policy directives to be issued by the Ministry of Health. Who is supposed to convene this meeting?
Let me tell. Let's put it this way. All the vigor that you seem to display now.
Yes.
Can we put it next? Is it next Thursday or tomorrow? Next Thursday. Let's do it next Thursday.
Yeah, I'll be very happy to attend.
And you now take that as an invitation to the committee.
I will do so.
So Thursday.
But I want to put on record that this is a letdown. It is a letdown.
You will tell him that.
Parliament.
You'll tell him that. You'll tell him that in that committee, and we will be able to see what comes. We've had you, Honorable Baya. We've had you. So I think we have agreed. Thursday he will appear before the committee. I hope it is not true that the minister does not obey request to come to the committee, because then therefore we will issue summons if he doesn't. Leader, Honorable Dwale, sorry.
Chair, serious, this is a house of record. The chair of the committee and the member have both confirmed that this minister does not comply with the summons of this House. It is not about where that minister comes from coast, or he has a brother here or there. Yes, this matter has come to the floor of this House. And any minister, if the President of the Republic of Kenya is coming to address this House in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, who is this minister who's refusing? So, Mr. Speaker, in fact, it has gone on record that there's a minister who does not appear. And this has been confirmed by summons, has been confirmed now other than the chair that oversight. Speaker, you now need to give us direction. You are the Speaker, and maybe give the way forward on how to deal with this minister. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, let these members not look like they're lame duck. There are provisions of the Constitution on how to deal with the ministers, public and state officers. I mean, this is the problem. Let us not allow the capture of the legislature by a few ministers.
Now, on this particular one, the CS has appeared before the committee 2 weeks ago. So we really do not have a major issue to imagine that he will not appear next Thursday. The chair of the committee has confirmed that the CS will be attending and will be available on Thursday. And I believe also that what Honorable Baya is talking about is also asking for numbers, whether the tourism numbers has been going up and what numbers. Because sometimes we really need to put some of these things on record and see whether there is any result out of the policies that are being developed in the ministry. So Thursday, you appear before the committee, the CS will be there. Next order.
Order number 8, the Health Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2020, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Health Act to enhance the functions of the Kenya Health Human Resource Advisory Council and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Investment Promotion Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 2 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Investment Promotion Act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Office of the County Printer Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to establish the Office of the County Printer in each county to provide for the functions, mandate, management, and administration of the office and for connected purposes. Order number 11, the Disaster Risk Management Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to establish the National Disaster Risk Management Authority and county disaster risk management committees to provide a legal framework for the coordination of disaster risk management activities and for connected purposes. Order number 12, the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bill number 20 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the county boundaries, to provide for a mechanism for the resolution of county boundary disputes, to give effect to Article 188 of the Constitution by providing for the procedure for alteration of county boundaries, to provide for the establishment of an independent county boundaries commission and for connected purposes. Order number 13, special motion, consideration of nominees for appointment to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Now, that is by the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. I do believe it's Honorable Shamala who will be doing it. You have been the one who's been asking members to summarize. I believe you are going to be of use to the House, like you have, please, if you don't mind, so that we can move. And if there are no major issues, we will be dispensing with these motions very quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Hansard will bear record that I don't think I've ever spoken for more than 5 minutes unless I was moving a special motion. I will summarize. Mr. Speaker, sir, on 5th October 2021, His Excellency the President forwarded to the National Assembly for consideration and approval the notification of nomination of 2 individuals nominated for appointment as members of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. And this was in accordance with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011 and the relevant sections. The names of the nominees are as follows: Colonel Retired Alfred Ntweta, whose name has been misspelt in the order paper and reads M-U-T-W-E-T-A, but is M-T-U-W-E-T-A Ntwetashimba, and Dr. Monica Wanjiru Mwiru. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 42.1, the names and curricula vitae of the nominees were referred to the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for vetting and reporting to the House within the requisite time of 21 days. Mr. Speaker, on 8th October, pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution of Kenya, the Public Parliamentary Approval Act, the clerk placed an advertisement in the print media informing the public of the intention of the committee to conduct approval hearings and inviting the public to submit memoranda by way of written statements on oaths, and again in accordance with the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act. The clerk of the National Assembly did not receive any memoranda from the public. Mr. Speaker, sir, the clerk of the National Assembly wrote to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Kenya Revenue Authority, DCI, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the Higher Education Loans Help, and the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, requesting for report with respect to the nominees on matters touching on integrity, tax compliance, political affiliations, and loan repayments. The committee received clearance reports for all nominees from all the relevant bodies. The committee had various sittings, and the nominees appeared before it on 9th. The committee had various sittings, and the nominees appeared before it on 19th, before the committee on 19th October, and were vetted again in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution and the law. Pursuant to Section 7 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approvals Act, the committee considered various issues during the approval hearings, and the committee considered the qualifications of the nominees in accordance with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011. And some of these, and I'll just highlight a few of these provisions: that they meet the requirements of Chapter 6, they hold a degree from a recognized university, and have not less than 10 years in any of the following fields, amongst others: law, leadership, economics, audit, accounting, fraud, investigation. Mr. Speaker, the disqualifications for appointment as a member of EACC are set out in Section 5.3 of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Act, and provides, amongst others, that a person shall not be qualified for appointments as chairperson or a member if they are a governing member of a political party, undischarged bankrupt, convicted of a felony, etc. The Constitution in Constitution, in addition, sets out certain requirements regarding the appointment of persons to public office, in that the state shall take legislative and other measures to implement the principle that not more than 2/3 of the members of elective appointment bodies shall be of the same gender. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee considered the list of nominees received by the National Assembly from the appointing authority, His Excellency the President, and observed that in the notification received there was 1 man and 1 woman. If appointed, the commission will have 2 women and 3 men. Therefore, the commission will satisfy the 2/3 threshold as set out in Article 27(8) of the Constitution. The committee was expected to table its report of the approval hearing by 26th October 2021. However, the House was proceeding on recess on October 21st. In this regard, the chairperson of the committee did move a motion for the extension of the period for consideration of the nominees submitted by His Excellency the President for appointment as members of the EACC Commission by a period of 14 days from 26th October 2021. This was to ensure that the House complies with the requirements of the law. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee, having vetted all nominees, made the general observations. The nominees satisfy the qualifications criteria set out in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011, Section 5(2). That none of the nominees may be disqualified on grounds set out under 5, 3, and 4 of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act. That all nominees satisfy the statutory requirements on leadership and integrity and have been cleared by all relevant authorities, such as Kenya Revenue, Criminal Investigations, and the Higher Education Loans Board. That none of the nominees has been convicted in a court of law for criminal offense in the past 3 years, and as stipulated in Article 75(1) of the Constitution, all nominees indicated they had no potential conflict of interest. That Article 77(1) of the Constitution prohibits a full-time state officer participating in any other gainful employment, and provides that the chairperson and members of the commission, and the EAC Act provides that the chairperson and members of the commission shall serve on a part-time basis. That all nominees do not hold office in any political party, hence satisfy the provisions of the Constitution. That none of the nominees have contravened the following articles: Article 75, conflict of interest; Article 76, financial probity; Article 77, restriction activities of state officers, and therefore fit to hold offices as members of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption. All the nominees have exhibited expressive knowledge and understanding of the mandate of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I urge members to read the comprehensive report of the Committee of the Justice and Legal Affairs in order to fully appreciate and enrich the debate. I further urge members to adopt the recommendations of the committee as contained in the report. I beg to move and call upon Honourable Sir George Muragara to second. And I have taken 6 minutes as per my watch.
You actually did 6 minutes, and remember, I keep records. You had a problem with one member being referred to Excellency. You've just given Sir George. That's perfect, really, but it's okay. We will hope that you will follow in the footsteps of the the mover.
Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
and
Speaker.
I hope also the Finance Committee are looking at what you are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Believe me, I'm knighted. She has knighted me, which is good enough. Mr. Speaker, I beg to second and associate myself fully with the speech that has been made by the mover, the Honorable Jennifer Shamala, and urge the members to read the report of the committee, in which we have made a recommendation that these two be appointed to the respective positions. I beg to second.
Order. So then we'll move quickly and propose that, taking into considerations the finding of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on its consideration of the nominee for appointment as member of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021, and pursuant to provisions of Section 10(3) of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011 and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of Colonel Retired Alfred Tweta Mshimba and Dr. Monica Wanjiru Buriu as members of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. The members who will be speaking, let's be brief. Unless we have major issues against it, let's be brief. I'll give just a few members, and then we move to the next. Really, we have the work bill to deal with. We have other motions to deal with. Now, I'm not able to know. Let me give a few members, really. I think it would make a lot of sense. Let's have Honorable TJ, and please be brief. Honorable TJ, I know
Chair,
that you have
Mr. Speaker, sir.
I'll give a few members, really. Don't you worry.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Don't you worry. I mean, we have the anti-corruption crusaders in this House and others, and members who can. We'll give members. Those who don't have cards, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of anti-corruption commission is very important. I don't want to make it more important than the WAF bill. But issues of anti-corruption are very important in this country. We are not going to pass people here just because we don't have time or that we have appetite for other work that seems to be more appealing than this. And I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable TJ, and you know...
Mr. Speaker, with a lot of respect,
Honorable TJ, please, you know, the more you talk about other things, the fact that you've been given an opportunity is to say that you have something important to say. And I know you have.
I do.
So proceed,
Speaker,
Honorable TJ.
let me just also tell the House that it wouldn't be proper not to hear from the chair. And in the absence of Honorable Member for Kangema, I happen to be the chair of this committee. So hearing from me.
Actually, Honorable TJ, I'm surprised that you are not the one moving it.
No, I delegated. This is the only committee that we have understood that we are all competent, and we delegate functions to all members. All members are equal in this committee. But, Mr. Chair, I want to say that I think Justice and Legal Affairs should be congratulated for processing this nominee within 1 day. Within 1 day, we were able to hold the hearings and make up our minds, in fact, in the committee. And I think committees which are charged with selection, after hearings from the people who come before you, one should be able to make up his mind on the spot, even before a report is written, whether or not this person passes suitability. This is what happened, and the report, of course, follows, as a matter of fact, from the Secretariat. Mr. Speaker, these two lady and gentleman appeared before us, and they convinced us. There are members, of course, who had issues, and very rightly so, that their ethnic composition seemed to be worrying, that there are parts of this country that seems to draw more people in some of these commissions than the others. That is very reasonable. But we have left it for this floor to debate, because this question about origins and functionality of people is really a very wild card, Mr. Speaker, so that members can discuss. I also agree that we cannot have people drawn from either the shores of the lake or from the heights of the mountains or from the depths of the rift all the time and think that we are in one Kenya. I'm sure there must be a Pokomo somewhere who can also be entitled to do some of these things that people are called upon to do. But as a matter of suitability under Section 7 of the Act, these people qualify and they're suitable for the work that they have been called for. And so I support the report. I support that these people, these nominees, should be approved. But members should ventilate and say especially something about ethnic composition, about people to serve in public office. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable TJ. That's well put and brief. Honorable Shabir, member for Kisumu East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, you are aware that I have the honor of being the chair of the African Parliamentarians Against Corruption, and all of you are members of that particular commission, that particular caucus. What is very important in the fight against corruption is that the proposed members must be beyond reproach. What is important is that they must have a passion for fighting the corruption that has been such a major scare on our society. It is not an issue of where they particularly come from, but an issue of where their passion lies and whether they are of that ink that they are willing to put themselves in the front of the fight against corruption, whether they have been involved or have been ever even suspected of any illegal or unprofessional dealing. From that point of view, I am absolutely sure that JLAC has done its job. It is now for us to look at it and confirm the appointees, whether they are from one section or the other. Geographically is not the issue. That is where we lose the fight. We are interested in anybody who can do it, whether it's from...
I see Honorable Kolosh waving a one-finger salute. But if it is a card that is showing, welcome to the House, Q now.
So,
proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, you understand the passion we are speaking from, and there are many, even Honorable Duale and others, who have that passion. And even the members here, I cannot fault any. But we are saying today that thank you very much. Let's hope and pray that we can give them the support that is necessary for them to be beyond reproach and to continue their project, continue effectively. Thank you, sir.
All right, Honorable Duale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I pick from where Honorable TJ left, and I rise to contribute to the debate of the Departmental Committee on Justice on its report on these nominees. And I had a chance to peruse through the report of the committee and noted their recommendation. However, allow me to highlight a few issues which, in my opinion, ought to have been considered by this committee. Mr. Speaker, 2 months ago, 2 commissioners resigned. They were Dr. Dabar Maalim and Rose Macharia. This Rose Macharia is not the Macharia of the mountain. She's married, but she's from Taita Taveta. Because I participated in the initial vetting of this house. And that's why here today, we are appointing their replacement. One, Colonel Alfred Mutweta from Taveta, and Dr. Monica Wanjiru as the new commissioners. Mr. Speaker, looking at the recommendations of this committee, to what extent this House, and I want the House to listen to me, can we say that the dictates of Article 232 of the Constitution has been complied with? And in particular, 232(1)(h), which provides one of the values and principles of public service which apply to all state organs is that there should be the representation of the Kenyan diverse communities. That is the Constitution. It's not Honorable Duale saying it. Assuming this House approves the 2 nominees, can we say we have complied with the Constitution fully and agreed with Article 232, sub-Article 1(h)? I dare say no. Further, Mr. Speaker, Article 232(1), Roman 1 and 2 of the Constitution of Kenya provides that members of all ethnic groups should be afforded adequate and equal opportunity for the appointment in public service. That is the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. If we approve these 2 nominees, will this House be compelled or complied with the dictates of Article 232, sub-Article 1, Roman 1 and 3 of the Constitution? I dare say no. Will the fully constituted commission of EACC, Mr. Speaker, reflect a representation of all the ethnic groups, and shall we have afforded Kenyans from all types equal opportunity for appointment in this commission? I dare say no. Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya calls upon this House, this august House, in making decisions to comply with the national values and principles of governance. One of the national values and principles is inclusiveness, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized communities. How come that Dr. Dabar was replaced from either the people of the Rift Valley or Western or the mountain? How can we have? And Mr. Speaker, the problem in this country is that we talk about national unity in a very deceptive way. We have a country where the president, the chief justice, the speaker of the National Assembly, the central bank governor, the commissioner general of KRA, the chief of defense forces, the attorney general come from one part of the country. This is not the Kenya that Honorable Raila Odinga, I'm sure in the Azimio like Kenya, is contemplating. And that's why we say, let us walk the talk. Let us say it the way it is. Let us not sugarcoat, and Honorable TJ has said it. Mr. Speaker, I think the manner in which EACC, before I say that, if we approve these 2 nominees, it will be contrary to Article 10 of the Constitution on national values. And this commission if this House approve and fully constituted, then it has not complied with Article 10 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I think the manner EACC has been operating, a lot of us here will say EACC did a good job, but have we completed the war on corruption? This is the commission, and I'm told the remaining commissioners, including Archbishop Obukala, are leaving office in December when their term comes to an end. But having even said that, Mr. Speaker, on a light note, someone told me some time back, if an archbishop could not fight corruption, who are we? You know, we appointed an archbishop to head this institution. Well, we can give up. We need to revive the integrity of this country for the future of our children. We need to rethink the fight against corruption. We need to have brave men and women who can restore order in all government offices and parastatal. Mr. Speaker, and Honorable Speaker, let me say it. To this end, allow me to conclude by quoting the 16th President of the United States. Character is like a tree, and reputation is like its shadow. The shadow is what we think as the people of Kenya. The tree is the really thing. We need an ethics and anti-corruption commission that can fix both the tree and the shadow. Only then we shall have fixed the character and the reputation of our country. As of now, EACC, in my honest opinion, is limping and whining. And Mr. Speaker, we are not guests of anybody. Everybody must respect the Constitution. We are not a house that is going to rubber stamp. Contrary to Article 10 of the Constitution, I oppose, and I say somebody should go to court and challenge this on the basis of Article, if the House approves, on the basis of Article 10, on the basis of Article 232, subsection 1, Roman 1, and Roman 3.
Mr. Speaker, mimi nakubaliana sana na Mheshimiwa Duale. Lakini akumbuke wakati mimi na Mheshimiwa Kajwang tulipokuwa tuko hapa tukipinga ya kwa makabila mengine yalikuwa yanapatiwa nafasi kuliko makabila mengine, kuna baadhi hapa walikuwa wakipiga kongole. Tena walikuwa wakipiga kongole na wakiweza kusema ya kwa ni sawa. Tulikuwa, Bwana Spika, mara ngapi hapa huyu wenzangu hapa wanazungumza habari ya tuongea sasa. Waswahili wanasema ukitaka kujua jinsi ulivyonyeshewa, anza kujiuliza tone la kwanza lilikupiga wapi. Nyinyi ndio mlosababisha mtendo huu ikawa leo watu nyinyi, na lazima mkubali makosa mlioyafanya kwa Wakenya, na hamna njia nyingine isipokuwa murejee nyuma na muombe msamaha kwa Wakenya ya kuwa mliwakosea. Na njia ya kuomba msamaha ni kusema ya kuwa mnakubaliana na sisi ambao kwamba tunataka azimio la Kenya ni lipi. Bwana Spika, Bwana Spika, leo hapa wengine wanaanza kuongea ya kuwa baadhi ya majina, tena angalia kwa hikma zao, tena wanajua na vipengele vya katiba, vipengele ambavyo kwamba miaka yote tulikuwa tukizungumza hapa ya kwa Pwani hawapatiwi nafasi, ya kwa ndugu zetu kutoka North Eastern hawapatiwi nafasi, ya kwa ndugu zetu kutoka Luo Nyanza hawapatiwi nafasi. Leo kwa sababu imekuwa ni sawa kwa wengine, mnasahau ya kwa haya yamefika hapa kwa sababu yenu nyinyi, sio kwa sababu nyingine. Hivi sasa hivi majina yanabadilishwa katika EACC ni mawili, Bwana Spika, mawili. Nakubaliana mimi na former leader ambaye kwamba bado namtambua kama leader wangu, lakini nataka tuweze kumkumbusha haya majina mengine yote ambayo kwamba anasema ya kwa yalikosiki katiba, yeye na wenzake ndio waliweza kuyapitisha hapa katika jumba hili. Bwana Spika, mimi tena nataka kuelezea hapa katika hili jina, mmoja wao ni Mpwani. Hili jina linalotajwa hapa, Alfred Mutweta Mshimba, ni Mpwani. Ameweza kuregesha sehemu ambayo kwamba kulikuwa kuna mwingine ni Mpwani. Mimi nauliza leo, hawa wenye kulalamika, nataka wazungumze na pumzi hizo hizo. Haya majina mengine yaliyoko hapa baada hii, kuna commission ya privatization iliyoko hapa, sioni jina la Mpwani. Muzungumze nyinyi ya kwa watolee watu wenu waekwe wetu. Tena baada hapo kuna commission nyingine, Competition Authority of Kenya, sioni jina la Mpwani, lakini naona makabila mengine mawili. Zungumzeni vile vile kwa hisia hizo hizo ya kwa mnataka watu wenu watolewe, waweze kuwekwa Mpwani, aweze kuwekwa Mjaluo, aweze kuwekwa kabila nyingine yote. Hii Kenya ni ya kila mtu. Kenya ni ya kila mtu. Kenya si ya mtu mmoja ama wengine. Tulipokuwa tunaongea na kukohoa hapa, tena tulikuwa tunazungumza hapa, sio katika majukwaa. Sio katika majukwaa peke yake. Tulikuwa tunaongea hapa na tukiwaambia kila siku ya kwa mnafanya makosa dhidi ya Wakenya. Bwana Spika, mimi nalikubali hili jina na tena nitakubali na Mkenya mwingine aweze kupatiwa nafasi. Hii Kenya ni ya kila mtu. Kila mtu ana nafasi.
Have the majority whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, allow me to support this report by the Committee on Justice and Equal Affairs. And Honorable Speaker, this is just on the simple basis that the candidates themselves, Honorable Speaker, have merited in their own right. They did not appoint themselves into this position, but there is an appointing authority which considered has come before this House, and Honorable Speaker, these people are well placed in this House. And Honorable Speaker, I wish to walk the talk of the substantive Speaker. The substantive Speaker, Honorable Speaker, he said, if you come into this House late and you are given an opportunity to speak, apologize to the chair, then you speak. I wish to refer to the former majority leader who taught me the first standing order when I came into this House. The Honorable Speaker, he has said various Kenyans, very many Kenyans he did mention, the Central Bank of Kenya governor and all others who seem to be aligned on a particular community, Honorable Speaker, that indeed I was his supporter and we voted for them in this House. We've all passed them and they are duly in their positions, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, notwithstanding that Aluya is not on list number 1 of ESCC, but it also appears that he is on the next group, Honorable Speaker. My good friend, I gave you time to speak. If you don't mind, let me also say. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, the fact that Aluya is not on this, but he appears on the second. And Honorable Speaker, whereas I agree that, yes, let's look at the comparison in terms of the 42 or 43 tribes. But on this one, especially on the basis of this one, Honorable Speaker, it is purely aligned. And when you look at whoever has come in, immediately the predecessor has come from the coast, Honorable Speaker. And the other one has also come from the mountain, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, in my view, it's important we support this report, and also let's support while basing ourselves on the next report, Honorable Speaker. And when you look at the Privatization Commission, Honorable Speaker, I like those who are saying they are not listed on the ESCC. But when you go to Privatization Commission, Honorable Speaker, which is due to come, and without anticipating debate, Honorable Speaker, they are already captured in that. Therefore, from where I sit, Honorable Speaker, I want to plead with my colleagues, let us take their let's not what they have mentioned, Honorable Speaker, today, but support the report. However, Honorable Speaker, they have chance. We are only but 8 months away from election, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, let them reorganize. As we go into election, let's go and look at how are we going to mix our own Kenya into a stronger nation as one. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I support this report.
Okay, we go to the Honorable Sheikh Abdallah. You want to speak to the other one? Then it means we are going to the honorable members. We still have others. We probably will be asking the mover to respond now. Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Other members, I mean, we cannot...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this...
All our time. We have many other commissions coming up to discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me take this chance to say I support, even though I don't know these people personally. Mr. Speaker, in supporting, I think it has been notified that when you look at the commissions in totality, we need to see whether we have the face of Kenya. Sometimes it may be difficult to see in one commission whether you have the face of Kenya. But when it is manifestly crooked, Mr. Speaker, then we need to think about it, because actually then it can be challenged. So, Mr. Speaker, I would also then just want to say that one of the things I'm happy about is that we are considering gender representation and equality, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say one thing, that even as these people are taking, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to pass them, that, Mr. Speaker, I am concerned about the growing politicization on the fight against corruption. Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record on the floor of this House that the bodies that are fighting corruption are increasingly being politicized as we go towards elections. Mr. Speaker, I raised it on the floor of the House last year that the Suba North constituency was actually given an order that there is a loss of money which had not even been released, Mr. Speaker. So how can there be loss of money that has not left Nairobi to go to the constituency? Mr. Speaker, yet again, we are having a situation where the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Agency, over the same issue, is raising concerns in Suba North constituency. And Mr. Speaker, the good thing about being correct in what you do is that you will not be fearful about raising them. So I want to tell Ethics and Anti-Corruption Agency, we have thieves in this country. Go for them. Stop looking for ants where there is no issue. Mr. Speaker, I am urging the EACC that if they do not stop politicizing the fight of corruption in my constituency, then I am going to meet them in court. Nobody has sued them, but I, Millie Odhiambo Mabona, I will sue them for politicizing the fight against corruption. Me, I don't joke, I take people head on, especially because I know members, I know people in my constituency by name, the dates they have taken money, how much money they have taken. I want ethics to know that they are not the only investigative arm. I am also an investigator. So the same information they have, I have. And I will take them head on, Mr. Speaker. So even as they go to fight corruption, you cannot be telling my constituency they have stolen money which has not reached Suba North. Mr. Speaker, some of these people are crazy. I think I'm going to raise an issue next week before the floor of this House, where we are even being told that we have given money to a school which is supposedly non-existent, and the ministry has alerted the school has been in existence since 1974. Missouri Primary in Mfangano is in existence. So I want to urge Ethics and Anti-Corruption, do your work. Look for the thieves, stop harassing people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Honorable Omlele?
Honorable Speaker, looking at the mood of the House and the debate so far, would I be in order to ask that the mover be called to reply in accordance with our standing order number 95?
Well, I don't think I have a choice there. The Honorable Omlele rises on the relevant standing order. Members, take your... and requested that the mover be called upon to reply. And I put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as other opinions say aye? Aye. And as our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think that the special motion has been deliberated extensively, and with those few remarks, I beg to reply.
Very well. Honorable members, we will move to the next order because of some circumstances that will have to be have this one considered. The question be put in the next sitting.
Order number 14, special motion, consideration of nominees for appointment to the Privatization Commission.
Chair Finance, the Vice Chair Finance. What is? I know where you come from, the Honorable Nasir. When you put the one finger salute, I know it's in nostalgia. But I know you've moved. So she's moved. So let's relax, honorable members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning in its report on its consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Privatization Commission laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 9, 2021, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 5/1/D of the Privatization Act 2005 and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of the following persons to the Privatization Commission. 1, Dr. Edward N. Kabodhi, PhD, as member. 2, Ms. Irene Jerry Wanyoike, as a member. 3, Ms. Serena Anyango Orata, as a member. 4, Sarah Adan Abdi, as a member. 5, CPA David J. O. Nyakango, as a member. 7, Ambassador Wellington Pakia Godo, as a member. Mr. Speaker, the Privatization Commission has not been operational for the last several years because it has not been properly constituted. There has only been a chairman and one member. So this recruitment, Mr. Speaker, will fill the space, the 6 spaces remaining, and that is why these new nominees have been recruited. Mr. Speaker, Section 5 of the Privatization Act, number 2 of 2005 provides as follows: that the Commission shall comprise of the following members: a chairman appointed by the President, B, the Attorney General, C, the Permanent Secretary to the Treasury, 7 members, not being public officers, appointed by the Minister through competitive process and approved by the National Assembly by virtue of their expertise in such matters as will ensure that the Commission achieves its objectives and purpose. The other member is the Executive Director. Mr. Speaker, with the declaration of the 6 vacancies, the Board of Privatization Authority, following the expiry of the term of directors, the board was unable to discharge its mandate effectively as it has been currently constituted, with only the chairman as Honorable Dr. Paul Otuoma and one member, Mr. John Joseph Tito, and that necessitated the filling up of the spaces for the 6 other directors. In light of this, the CS for the National Treasury nominated Dr. Kobodhi Irene Jerry Wanyoike, Serene Anyago Orata, Sarah Adan Abdi, CPA David Nyakango, Adabazeda Wellington, Pakia Godo, for appointment as members of the Privatization Commission of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning was assigned the role of conducting the vetting of the nominees, as mentioned above, according to its mandate. Mr. Speaker, in assessing and vetting the nominees.
The Honorable Member for Roysambu, just hold on. The Honorable TJ White is out of order.
Mr. Speaker, they knew themselves what in other quarters I would have called the usual suspects. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not in order for members to be between you and the Speaker. But they have rectified, so I'll let it be.
No, you're absolutely right. The Honorable TJ Kajwang, the Honorable Kolosh today seems to be in a very bullish mood for some reason. He seems to be quite agitated. I don't know what it is that but proceed. Member for Roysambu, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, I will only say that the nominees have been vetted by the National Assembly, and the invitations for memoranda was placed with the newspapers to afford Kenyans public participation, and that no adverse memoranda were sent. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, the nominees have been found to be qualified according to the requirements of the Act and pursuant to the provisions of our standing orders. And therefore, in compliance with Section 6(9) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Mr. Speaker, the nominees have been found to be in conformity, both in qualification and prudence. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this House requests and urges members to vote and to recommend and to support the recommendations of our committee in supporting Dr. Edward Kabudo, Ms. Irene Wanyoike, Mrs. Serena Orata, Mr. Sarah Abdi, CPA David Nyakango, and Ambassador Wellington Godo as members of the Privatization Commission, and having considered the suitability and capacity and the integrity of the nominees, and pursuant to Section 8(2) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, number 33 of 2011, the committee recommends that the National Assembly approves the nomination and subsequent appointment of the 6 nominees to the position of the Director of the Board of Privatization Commission. And in supporting Mr. Speaker, I wish to invite the Honorable Gishuhi to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gishui.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to associate myself with the report on Privatization Commission on the nominees, and I wish to state that they are all qualified. The issue of gender balance, regional balance was observed, and the same was complied with. I therefore wish to second.
We seem to be moving very well, honorable members. So then I propose the question, which is that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning in its report on its consideration of the nominees for appointment as members of Privatization Commission, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 9, 2021, and pursuant to provisions of Section 5, 1D of the Privatization Act 2005 and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approvals Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of the following persons to the Privatization Commission. 1, Dr. Edward N. Kobuthi, PhD. Irene Njeri Wanyoike, 2. 3, Celine Onyango Orata. 4, Mr. Salah Adan Abdi. 5, Mr. CPA David J. O. Nyakongo. And 6, Ambassador Wellington Pakia Godo. We'll start with the Honorable Fatma. I don't know why it's reading here Fatuna, but it is Fatma Gedi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'll be brief. I want to take the opportunity to thank the committee for the job well done. Mr. Speaker, reading and looking at the report, indeed, and listening also to the mover and the seconder, that the nominees before us are all qualified. There is a regional balance. There is issue of gender that have been considered. Mr. Speaker, I must say this, and Honorable Abdisamad, there's something you're saying that is not good. Even Somalis have a right. But I know you love Somalis and they're your voters, and you've helped them in Vita constituency, and I can be a witness that you're sitting here to support the nominees. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, one Salah Adan Abdi comes from Wajir County. I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President and the Minister for Finance for giving this young man the opportunity to serve in this Privatization Commission. Looking at his education background, Mr. Speaker, he has a master's degree and Bachelor of Human Resource Management from Kenyatta University. Mr. Speaker, of course, from marginalized and minorities communities, and from Northeastern and Wajir. It's a great honor, Mr. Speaker, because getting people from those areas really who have such wonderful experience and qualification, Mr. Speaker, are very rare. And Mr. Speaker, this is a person who has served as a CEC in the last county government of Wajir. They have, but they are very also rare. My former leader. Let's
not exchange on the floor, really. I mean,
it's an honor, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor.
Let's give Honorable Gedi time to, summarize whatever she's giving. Really, if anybody has a different opinion, we will give them opportunity to say.
Mr. Speaker, of course, my point I was taking home is he served as a CEC finance in Wajir County. Under his docket is when Wajir has really transformed. Wajir was in the map for being #1. So it's one person that I know who will deliver and who is passionate for whatever he'll be given. So, and also Mr. David, who is also who I know, Nyangangong, he's also one person I know that he's going to take this responsibility seriously, and he will serve with passion and diligence, Mr. Speaker. With that few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge also the House to support these nominees since they're all qualified, looking at their qualifications. There is regional balance. There is also issue of gender that have been, as a woman, I'm very happy, and I want to congratulate one Celine Orata for this position, Mr. Speaker. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. We go to the member for Mukurweini. Is it working? But let's try it and see.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the report. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the appointment of these members to the Privatization Commission is timely, given that it has been operating without the required number of members. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the report tabled by the Finance Committee, I want to say that I have no doubt that the Finance Committee is competent to do its work, and having received no adverse report on any of the appointees, then it means that these people are ready to work for our country. They are competent, and they are the right persons to fill up those positions. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the list represents the face of Kenya. These are people who have been appointed by the minister by virtue of their expertise. And I want to say that the members who have been appointed in this committee are quite competent in their own areas of specialization. Mr. Speaker, in particular, I'm more interested in Madam Irene Jerry Wanyoike, who comes from Mukurweini. I have known her for many, many years. This is a lady who has served this country with diligence. This is a lady who has served this country quite well. This is a lady who has impeccable qualifications. Having served before in the Commission on Cohesion, I have no doubt that she brings in a wealth of experience in this Privatization Commission. She has served in other high-profile jobs. She has all along been a public servant, and I believe that Madam Irene will serve diligently in this commission. Particularly also, it's good to point out that when she served in the Cohesion Committee, she left very high standards. She left an indelible mark, and I believe that with her wealth of experience, she's going to serve this commission diligently. More particularly, I also want to congratulate her for having secured this slot. As a member of parliament for Mukurweini, and as a daughter of Mukurweini, I want to congratulate her. I support.
Yes, we have the member for Luanda.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I want to support this, the report of the Finance Committee. But having said that, Speaker, I just want to bring to the attention of this House that the members who are being appointed today are going to serve on a part-time basis. And Speaker, my concern is, when you look at the work that this commission is supposed to do in this country, and looking at where this country is coming from, considering that this country is weighed down with a huge debt load in this country, and we need to privatize. We have a lot of state corporations, state assets that need to be privatized. And there's a whole process that needs to be undertaken for that process to come to fruition. And then these members are going to serve on part-time basis. Maybe this House, in time, should consider to review the parent statute so that the members of this particular commission may be able to serve on a permanent basis. And having said that also, and speaking to the same point, Speaker, it is a matter of concern that the chair of this particular commission his term will be coming to termination, I think by the end of this month or within the next 30 days. So we are going to end up hamstrung again. And I think it is incumbent upon the appointing authority to move with speed so that this commission can be enabled. This commission has not functioned for the longest time. But these people who have been appointed here, Speaker, I have interacted with this report, and these people are quietly, and I want to say, they are very competent. Let us give them this work. Thank you, Speaker.
We would finish it very quickly. So then, Honorable Nasir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm looking at the names
Don't
of
you worry, Honorable Sankoki will be next.
I'm
Don't
looking
you worry.
at
So
the...
prepare your thoughts.
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at the names that are here, and I want to, in particular, point out the name of Salah Aden Abdi. And I want this to be something that every single Kenyan out there can be able to take note. That it does not matter where you're from, but with your hard work, you can be able to be something in this country. And this is not commission, the Privatization Commission is no mean commission, Mr. Speaker. It is about privatizing state corporations and entities that belong to the government. And Saleh Aden Abdi, who originates from Wajir and was the CC for education for finance in Wajir, is the right person to be able, and I want to congratulate him and the others as well, and I'm sure that they will definitely be making us proud. And my sister, when she was right when she was saying, I was asking about Somali, yes, I do have a huge number, and Vita constituency is very cosmopolitan, Mr. Speaker. Every single person who resides anywhere in Kenya, somehow or the other, finds their roots in Mvita and Mombasa County. So I'm proud to represent a very, very cosmopolitan society.
Honorable Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And for the sake of the pastoralists who appear in this list, I will support Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, I want to request the House to consider, because there is a trend that is developing in which we no longer consider persons with disabilities in our appointments, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have seen lists coming to this House. I am even more interested in contributing to the next one, but I wanted to contribute to this one just because there is this trend of not including persons with disability as per Article 54 of our Constitution in the appointments that have been made in the recent past. I urge this House to be rejecting any other appointment that does not include persons with disability, because that is our Constitution. I'm interested in the next one.
Honorable Mwangi Mburu, member for Lari.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to support the nominees. The committee did a good job. I think they have considered all the diversities. They have considered the tribal balances and regional balances. And I'm sure that those people will deliver in this privatization committee. Although it is part-time, as our Speaker has said, and they don't have to work full-time, but I'm sure they'll deliver to their mandate. And with those few remarks, I really support the work of the committee. Thank you.
Honorable Doyo.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much. From the outset, I join my colleagues who are hailing the composition that reflects regional balance in this Privatization Commission, and that is reflective of the dictates of our Constitution. So it is something that we have to praise the committee together with the appointing authority for coming up with these names. But Honorable Speaker, stepping back a bit, I'm perturbed that when it comes to this matter, people are very happy that at least there is regional balance. Some of our political persuasions in this House have been given an opportunity in the recent past, and they quickly retreat to their ethnic cocoons and get people from their ethnic inclinations to take up jobs in government. Yet no one has raised a finger over this imbalance. So if this is the trend that we are going to develop as a House, then regional balance must form an integral part of any suitability for qualifications in government jobs, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I come from the Sugar Belt. And when this Privatization Commission was birthed, the main idea was to have sugar companies, together with other non-performing government entities, to be privatized so that we do not continue to see wastages and pilferages and financial impropriety that has permeated the systems for way too long. When this came into being more than 3 years ago, Honorable Speaker, us from the Sugar Belt region had a lot of hopes that for once our sugar matters will be addressed. Honorable Speaker, it is long since sugar companies such as Muhoroni, Chemelil, Zoea, Sony, and other government sugar millers made any profit. Yet private companies continue to rake in lots of revenues with a very expanded revenue streams, including manufacture of power, which was hitherto done by Mumia's Sugar Company. So, Honorable Speaker, if this Privatization Commission will be in place in a few days to come, I would suggest that these sugar companies that have been the livelihoods of so many people would then be quickly privatized so that for once they can reclaim their lost glory. But it is more disturbing that private entities do better than government agencies. Is it because we appropriate funds for them even when they do not make any profits? Or do we need to inject a new impetus in terms of personnel? These are areas that we need to quickly consider as the Privatization Commission takes shape in few days to come. And for that, I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
What is it, the Honorable Shamala?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise under Order 95 that the mover be called on to reply. I think it has been sufficiently debated, this particular issue.
Well, it's very difficult for me to gauge the mood of the House in any other way other than putting a question to that. So, honorable members, the Honorable Jennifer Shamala rises on the floor under the relevant standing order and requests that the mover be called upon to reply. Now, and I put the question, which is that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. And as of our contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. So we have the mover, please reply. Order members, I hear the two members up there. You will be considered in the next one. Please, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank members for supporting this motion and for applauding the consideration by the committee that many regions have been considered in the nomination and that Jeddah has also been considered. I also want to assure them that this committee has recommended that the Act also be amended to increase the term of service of directors of the Board of Privatization Commission to 6 years and to make the board full-time. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply.
Very well. We also are not going to put the question until the next sitting. So next order.
Order number 15, special motion, consideration of nominees for appointment to the Competition Authority of Kenya.
That's again the Chairperson, Committee on Finance and Planning. Let's keep the spirit, please. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning in its report on its consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Competition Authority of Kenya, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 9th, 2021, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 10, Paragraph 2 of the Competition Act 2010, and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of the following persons to the Competition Authority of Kenya. 1, Ms. Rina Munuve as a member. 2, Ms. Arome K. Ashayo as a member. 3, Dr. David Wanyonyi Wanyama as a member. And finally, number 4, Mr. Abdi A. Mohammed as a member. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the House that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 42, the Speaker of the National Assembly on the 7th October communicated to the House a message from the CS National Treasury regarding nominees for appointment to positions of directors of the Board of Competition Authority of Kenya in accordance with Standing Order 42.3c. Names of the nominees together with the curriculum vitae were referred to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning to conduct approval hearings. And Mr. Speaker, in compliance with Section 6(9) of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, the Clerk of the National Assembly placed an advert on the print media on Saturday, 9th October 2021, and invited members of the public to submit memoranda by written statements under oath on the suitability of the nominees in conformity with Section 6(9) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011. And by close of submission deadline, the committee had not received any memorandum contesting the suitability of the nominees. So, Mr. Speaker, 4 posts of the Director of the Board of Competition Authority of Kenya fell vacant, and after their expiry, and pursuant to Section 10(1)(f) of the Competition Act 2010, the Minister, the CS, National Treasury, and Planning submitted the 4 names to us for vetting and approval. Mr. Speaker, the nominees appeared before the committee on Friday, 22nd October for the approval hearings, where the committee examined their suitability based on criteria set out in the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, and the nominees were interviewed, and their academic credentials, relevant experience, and knowledge of sector issues, leadership, and integrity verified. And based on their performance during the vetting exercise, this committee made the following general observations: that there was regional balance in the nominations, given that all the 4 nominees come from different counties, one from Nyeri and the other from Nairobi, Bungoma, and Madera counties. That there was gender balance in the nominations, because 2 of them are male, the other 2 are female. The nominating authority submitted the report of the interviewing panel that conducted the interviews for the nominees, and hence the committee was able to ascertain that the interview process was competitive. All nominees have been cleared by the KRA on tax compliance, HELB, EACC, DCI, and Office of the Registrar of Political Parties on membership to political parties. And the Competition Authority Act number 12 of 2010 did not provide the process for appointment, the minimum academic qualifications, and years of experience required to appoint one as a director of the Competition Authority of Kenya. Hence, this committee is asking that we legislate further to provide for the process of appointment. Mr. Speaker, the committee has vetted the individuals and found them fit, and having considered their suitability, capacity, and integrity, and pursuant to Section 8(2) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, the committee recommends that the National Assembly approves the nomination and subsequent appointment of the 4 nominees to the position of directors of the Board of Competition Authority of Kenya. That this committee also recommends that the Competition Act 2010 be amended to outline the process of appointing members of the board and specific minimum academic and professional qualifications and the minimum number of years of experience thereof. That the act be amended to increase the term of service of directors of the Competition Authority of Kenya to 6 years, and to make the board full-time. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable Member for Tetu to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Tetu.
For the opportunity given to me. Mr. Speaker, let me appreciate the work of the committee, and without hesitation, also, I would like to congratulate the nominees for this authority, and particularly the one, Lena Monuve, who comes from my constituency, Mwingi West. Mr. Speaker, I know her as a very competent person who has worked in private sector many times, Mr. Speaker, and she has delivered exemplary performance in all the institutions she has worked on. Mr. Speaker, this authority must ensure there is enough protection of consumers from their rights being abused by the unscrupulous traders and people who are really offering their services and product. Mr. Speaker, the other issue the committee has to, the authority has to address is the mergers and acquisition, Mr. Speaker. Let them be fair, and I don't have much to say, Mr. Speaker, since the appointment has been based on gender balance and other regional issues, Mr. Speaker. I support the appointment of these nominees. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Abdullahi Sheikh, member for Mandera North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First and foremost, I want to thank the committee for doing a very good job in producing a very good report on the vetting and subsequent appointment of these 4 Kenyans to fill in the positions of board directors in the Competition Authority. Honorable Speaker, these 4 positions as a result of the expiry of other directors that have quit the authority itself. And that tells you that, and I'm sure there could be a number of authorities or commissions that will have people who will quit. But at the same time, I will still urge the government to ensure that those who leave, then we ensure that Kenyans are also absorbed to the same commissions or authorities so that work can continue. Honorable Speaker, one of the nominees is Mr. Abdi Ali Mohammed, is from my constituency, and I can confirm on rather vouch that he is a very hardworking gentleman and who is equal to the task to serve as a board member of the Competition Authority, together with other nominees. And I can assure you that together with his team, once this House approves, which I plead with the House to ensure that the nominees are approved, they will help the Competition Authority to ensure that Kenyans are not cheated, Kenyans are not taken for a ride, because this Competition Authority is a very critical authority in ensuring that the interests of Kenyans are taken care of. So I want to urge the House, and when I look at the entire report, I can see the issue of gender balance is well taken care of. The issue of regional representation is also well taken care of. I can confirm that. So I want to urge the entire House and plead with them to approve these 4 nominees, taking cognizance of the fact that one of the nominees, Mr. Abdi Ali Mohammed comes from my constituency, and I again say that he's a hard worker and a go-getter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Mboko Kamis, member for Likoni.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi nikiunga mkono uteuzi wa Wakenya wanne ikiwemo kina mama wawili na kina baba wawili. Na nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Rais, na niseme hii ndio iwe mtindo ya kwamba tunakuwa na 50% kwa 50 kwa kina baba na kina mama katika uteuzi. Mamlaka hii ni mamlaka muhimu sana kwa sababu italinda wale wanunuzi ama kwa Kiingereza consumers. Na pia itaangalia kuweka njia ya usawa katika mambo ya biashara na mambo ya soko, kwa sababu kwa wakati mwingine tunaona kunakuwa na mvutano katika mambo ya biashara ama soko, haswa kama hapa Kenya tumewahi kuona ushindano wa Airtel na Safaricom. Kwa hivyo mamlaka hii ni mamlaka muhimu sana ambayo itaweza kusawazisha kuwe na ushindani ambao ni ushindani mzuri wa kuweza kuendeleza biashara na masoko kwa njia ya usawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, mwenzangu mmoja amezungumzia swala la ndugu zetu walemavu, na mimi pia nataka kutia mkazo ya kwamba wakati tunafanya uteuzi, Mheshimiwa Rais, wafikirie sana hawa ndugu zetu walemavu. Jambo jingine nataka niseme ya kwamba ni wakati mwafaka, Mheshimiwa Rais, hivi sasa lazima upige darubini uangalie, je, jamii ambazo zimekuwa chache katika uteuzi katika sekta zetu za umma ama sekta za kiserikali zitapatiwa kipao mbele. Unapofanya hivyo tutaweza kuwa na usawa ule tunauzungumzia katika katiba yetu. Tutakuwa na usawa kwa kina mama, usawa wa kijamii na usawa wa sehemu zile zote za taifa la Kenya. Nasema hivyo kwa sababu najua mpaka sasa kuna jamii ambazo uwakilishi wao katika sekta za kiserikali, katika nafasi zile za kuweka maamuzi katika serikali, uwakilishaji wao bado ni mchache. Hivyo basi tuweze kuwapatia kipao mbele jamii kama ya Waturukana, jamii kama ya Wadorobo, jamii ya Wamijikenda, Wabajuni, jamii hata ambazo nyingine zinatoka kule kaskazini wa kusini, jamii pia ya Wamasai na Wasamburu. Tuweze kuangalia jamii hizi ambazo bado ni chache katika sehemu za kufanya maamuzi ama katika sekta za umma, zitaweza kupatiwa kipao mbele. Na hili litawezekana iwapo tutakuwa na takrimu maksusi za ukweli za kuonyesha tunafanya vipi ama tunatekeleza vipi katiba yetu ambayo tuliipigia upato ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba kutakuwa na uwakilishaji ambao utachukua sura ya Kenya, na tutakuwa na uwakilishaji ambao tutaweza kusawazisha yale historia zile za nyuma ambazo kulikuwa na jamii zilizotengwa ama zile jamii ambazo ni chache. Mheshimiwa Rais, nataka nikushukuru pia kwa ile tume ya ubinafsishaji, lakini niwaambie tu wale makamishna, tafadhali bandari ya Mombasa isifanyiwe ubinafsishaji. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono mswada huu, na nataka niseme kwa wakati huu kina mama nafikiri tumepata mavuno katika uteuzi. Mtindo ubaki huo huo Mheshimiwa Rais, kina mama tuwe mbele katika nyanja za uongozi sawia na kina baba, sambamba katika maamuzi na sambamba katika kujenga taifa la Kenya. Naunga mkono mswada huu kwa sababu walioteuliwa wote katika tajiriba ya kielimu wamefuzu, katika tajiriba ya uzoefu wa kazi wamefuzu, pia katika sura ya 6 ya katiba hawana jinai wala pia hawana makosa ya uhalifu. Hatukuona memorandamu yoyote ambayo imewapatia kashifa ama imesema hawa walioteuliwa wana makosa fulani. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono 100%. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
The Honorable Nur Sofia, member for Ijara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this chance. Equally, I want to congratulate the committee for their wonderful report on nominating the 4 members, and I want to say that they did a very wonderful job, and personally I do not know any of the members who have been nominated, the nominees, but I want to congratulate the nominees. What I hear and what I understand from the report presented to this House is that there are people who have integrity, who have done a lot of good job for this country, and it is for us to stand up and support them at this time, Mr. Speaker, because once you do good job for this country, then you are there to continue doing that good job for this country, and we want to say that we are supporting the report because of what we are told, that these are people who have really worked, who have really done marvelous job in different capacity in this country. The other thing that I'm standing up to support is because of the gender balance, regional face of this country. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support the report of the committee. Thank you.
The Honorable Dr. Umbaka, member for Siaya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I'm a member of this committee, and we vetted these nominees very, very well. First of all, they were all very, very good. It was very difficult to know who can be considered here. All of them really were up to date, well educated, highly experienced, and they're very, very eloquent. I want to say that it was very difficult to decide who really takes a position here. And I just want to say that I support it because we did our best, and the nominees are the best we can get in this country. Thank you.
The Honorable Obo Mohamed, member for Lamu.
Bwana Spika, na mimi naunga mkono waliochaguliwa. Naona kuna sura ya Wakenya. Na pia nashukuru Rais, hizo commissioners zingine wamekuwa mtu wa Pwani, wamekuwa mtu wa muungano wetu wa upya. Lakini naomba saa ingine ikitokea kwa upya safari hii iwe ni Lamu, na ikitokea Upwani iwe ni mtu wa Lamu. Asante Bwana Spika.
The Honorable Ongera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity so that I may contribute to this bill. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion, and let me from the onset thank the committee for coming up with a very balanced list in terms of what my colleagues have said that I also support in terms of regional balancing, gender considerations. And Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say that now that we have the Competition Act, which Mr. Speaker repealed the Restrictive Trade Practices Act, I'm very glad that now we have an authority in place so that we can now have them set the practice of ensuring that competition in trade or in businesses does not actually kill this country. So that, Mr. Speaker, there can be a balance between those who are the merchandise, the so-called very rich and the very poor. There will be a balance in between. Mr. Speaker, particularly, I hope that this commission, once they set up themselves in office, they will look at issues, particularly trade practices. And I have in mind, Mr. Speaker, where like in the airports, having been an executive director of the airports for some time, Mr. Speaker, I know that there is a lot that requires streamlining, particularly bad practices, where you find that duty-free shops, for example, Mr. Speaker, are allocated to one person en masse who has come under small other trading names, but in reality it's one person who is running that business. Mr. Speaker, this practice is terrible because so many merchants who would have wanted to participate in selling duty-free commodities in this country have not been given the chance, and it has been a monopoly of the very rich. Mr. Speaker, also, I have in mind of other trade practices which are very repulsive, Mr. Speaker, particularly the question of Airtel, somebody mentioned here, and Safaricom, whereby they have been in stiff competition, and perhaps, Mr. Speaker, a remedy can be found. Mr. Speaker, there are other cases like the Korochi Industries, which we know, Mr. Speaker, are being muzzled, and yet these are local businesses. When we know that Kenya Breweries is spending a lot of money in fighting businesses that are homegrown and run even by women. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that this authority will be some of the things they look at, and I'm very happy, particularly to see that there have been 2 ladies who have been nominated and 2 men. This kind of balance of 50% is what we need. With this, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
Very well spoken, the Honorable Ongera. We have spoken to that, a provision in that act where it provides that some of these businesses can be declared as dominant, and they might mutate in different formats so that they present themselves as a multiplicity of businesses, yet they are the same. Very well spoken. The Honorable Duale, member for Garissa Township.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I don't want to dwell much on the nominees. I have said mine. Every nominee list that brought to this House must comply with Article 10 of the Constitution, must comply with Article 232, Sub-Article 1, Roman 1 and 3. But, Mr. Speaker, the elephant in the room, the men and women we are appointing to the Competition Authority have a single function based on the Act, Competition Act of 2010, that they must investigate, they must control, and they must evaluate restrictive business practices, abuse of dominant positions, and deal with the mergers of big companies in order to achieve what? In order to achieve equity and efficiency. Mr. Speaker, the Competition Authority of Kenya, in line with the Act and powers given to it, must promote, must protect, and create an effective competition within the market structure in our country. And they must deal with restrictive trade practices. They must deal with the controls and dominance, acquisitions, and concentrations of economic power in the hands of very few. Mr. Speaker, this is a time that we must say that companies like Safaricom enjoy dominant, monopolistic tendencies. Why do I say so, Mr. Speaker? And there's a bill here in this House which is not moving. This bill was brought by the member for GEM. And I want to challenge the House Business Committee. There are 2 bills that are not moving. One is the one by the member for GEM in amending the Communication, Kicker Act. The other one is a bill by the member for Nambale, Honorable Bunyasi, in creating a debt committee of this House and a debt department within the National Treasury. Those 2 bills are here for 2 years. Let me pick the one for Mheshimiwa member for GEM. That Safaricom cannot enjoy to run M-Pesa, for example. That in terms of deposits and withdrawal is equivalent to the third-tier company, third-tier banks in our country. And they are not running M-Pesa within the ambit of the Central Bank of Kenya Act. They can't use the telecommunication license given to them by CAK to run a banking and financial institution functions, Mr. Speaker. They can't have their cake and eat it. Safaricom is known, just like Vodafone, just like Airtel. Their function is a telecommunication provider, whether it is voice, data. But, Mr. Speaker, this House must rise to the occasion and make sure the service they provide is so important, is a milestone, is something that the Kenya as a country is proud of M-Pesa. But we cannot have M-Pesa to be regulated under the Telecommunication Act. M-Pesa must fall within the Central Bank of Kenya Act. M-Pesa of Safaricom must be under the Financial Reporting Center. They must fall within the Anti-Money Laundering and Proceeds of Crime Act that formed the Financial Reporting Center. But Mr. Speaker, just because in all successive governments, those who are in the house at the Hill have a shareholding, and they transfer that shareholding from President Moi to President Kibaki, to President Uhuru, and maybe to President Ruto or President Raila.
The Honorable Duale, I think now we are going on dangerous tangent. We withdraw that one unless we have a substantive motion on those names that we have named. Just withdraw that bit. So
Mr. Speaker, I think in accordance with the standing order, you should have asked me whether I have evidence to table, not to withdraw. You know, you asked me. And Mr. Speaker,
the Honorable Duale.
But Mr. Speaker, for now I comply with your direction.
Yes.
That I will withdraw that. But my point was, Mr. Speaker, companies that enjoy dominant and monopolistic tendencies contrary to the Competition Authority Act. And Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is, Safaricom cannot use their telecommunication license to run a bank. M-Pesa is a bank. M-Pesa must comply with the CBK Act. M-Pesa must comply with the Money Laundering and Proceeds of Crime Act. M-Pesa, Mr. Speaker, must be subjected.
The Honorable Duale, just hold on. The Honorable Abdullahi Sheikh seems to have a point that he needs to.
Honorable Speaker, I think Honorable Duale is not in order for him really to castigate a legitimate business. We are not discussing Safaricom or Airtel. And trying to victimize a legitimate business, which is not a substantive bill or motion here, is really not fair. So I think if there's a bill or something that is in the offing, the members can discuss, but using the opportunity to castigate a legitimate business in bad light is not fair.
I agree with you entirely. The Honorable Duale, I think you are contributing to the competition authority membership, and you are trying to point them in a direction in the way they should, the inquiries they should have. The matters that you seem to be elucidating are matters that would ordinarily make a case that has been placed before that tribunal. Once we give them, we compile it. So I think you are actually prosecuting matters that would ordinarily be prosecuted before that tribunal if such a case was presented before them. So the Honorable Abdullah is absolutely right.
Chair, I can say it without fear of any contradiction. There is no tribunal called Competition Authority. The functions of the Competition Authority, and I have stated it earlier, is to deal with restrictive business practice, dominance, mergers, and I've picked on a number of companies that, in my opinion, these nominees must deal with. And I'm not holding brief. If you're holding brief for Safaricom, that is your issue. I'm holding brief for the people of Garissa Township and the people of Kenya in line with the Competition Act.
The Honorable Duale, I will not allow you to denigrate.
And Mr. Speaker, I'm just saying they are to protect consumers. The people who use consumers,
The Honorable Duale, I've already directed that you are not going to denigrate a company that is trading in this country, and you have not brought a substantive motion to deal with it. Let us be fair. If I came here and I started talking about negative things about you, you would rise up. So Safaricom is a person that is known to the law of Kenya, that if you have an issue with it and you wish to bring it before the House, you have liberty. You know how to do it, the Honorable Duale. Let us pass these members. And if there's an issue that needs to go before that commission, then you can take it there. But before this House, today what is before this House and what we are debating, you have actually gone off tangent, the Honorable Dwale. Kindly limit yourself to what is before the House. The Honorable Majority Whip. What is out of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in addition to the guidance you've given, is the Honorable Member for Garissa Town, in order to debate the bill which is substantively before the House elsewhere, not the one which we are debating. Because, Honorable Speaker, what he's mentioning are actually the articles in the bill which is before the House by the Honorable Elisha of Game. Is he in order, Honorable Speaker?
You're absolutely right, the Minority Whip. The Honorable Dwale, just limit yourself to what is before the House, and we make.
Chair, I will follow your guidance because you have to do it, but I don't know how you draw a line between discussing the nominees and not the act and the functions and the investigative powers of the Competition Authority. I have been around for some time, but if that is the direction you will take, I have made my comments. I stand by them today, tomorrow, and I support.
The Honorable Shamala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise under Order 95 for closure of debate. But before I state that, I wish to I did hear the Honorable Dwale say that there is no competition tribunal in Kenya. There is a competition tribunal. It is established under the Competition Act number 12 of 2010. And with those few remarks, I beg that the mover be called to reply.
The Honorable Shamala, you started well, but the moment you made your contribution, then the earlier one under 95 cannot be allowed. So I will then now move on to the Honorable Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you so much because Honorable Shamala was almost closing me out, but being a mono, she knocked herself out of technicalities, and I thank God for having a mono, having tried to close the debate. Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Sankok, there are no monos in the House. They are honorable members of equal standing, all of them.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I withdraw and apologize. You know, I'm their chairman. I'm the chairman of all newcomers and all the nominated members of Parliament. She also understands. So, Honorable Speaker, I do support the nominees to the Competition Authority of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, and first of all, there is gender balance. There is 2 honorable ladies and 2 honorable gentlemen. So, Honorable Speaker, there is a balance in terms of gender. But, Honorable Speaker, I'd raise a very important and pertinent issue of a trend that is happening in this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have forgotten completely Article 54 of our Constitution, that we need to have also persons with disability included in some of these appointments, Honorable Speaker, because they also do business. And when they do business, Honorable Speaker, when we have a very important authority like this one that deal with competition, there is a lot of unfair competition against persons with disabilities, Honorable Speaker, because some of these persons with disability with businesses, they are deaf, they can't hear, they can't really compete favorably with the rest, Honorable Speaker. This was a very important authority that should have had persons with disabilities. Some of us, when we are taking our merchandise to the market, Honorable Speaker, it will be very difficult because we can't carry and we have to employ so many people along the chain, Honorable Speaker. So the competition ground is not very favorable for persons with disability. This Competition Authority of Kenya could have been very important and very instrumental if it had a person with disability because according to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, nothing about us without us. In terms of business, it is also about us as persons with disabilities, so we needed to be there. But I support, hoping in future, the House will really consider even sometimes showing the executive that Article 54 of our Constitution exists, that when a list is brought and persons with disability are not there, then we shoot it down just as a signal to the executive that persons with disability exist, and there is the article that protects their inclusion in our socio-economic development of our country, especially in appointive and nominative positions. Honorable Speaker, I know most of the nominees in persons, Honorable Speaker. Ms. Lena Munuve is a very good lady who is very competitive, Honorable Speaker, and the rest, and even David Wanyonyi Wanyama is a very good person, Honorable Speaker, and I'm sure is very competitive to take up this position. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Abdi Mohammed is a contractor, and I'm not sure of his capacity, and I'm sure even during the vetting, because I had to go through the vetting notes, Honorable Speaker, he didn't perform as well as the rest, but he comes from the constituency of Honorable Major Bashir. So Honorable Major Bashir having supported him, I'm very sure that he will guide him and give him enough tutorials so that he can also catch up with the rest, so that this Competition Authority of Kenya is up to speed and will do what we intend them to do. Honorable Speaker, you know, when it comes to competition, business competition, and that is what Honorable Ndwale was trying to raise, and this is what they are supposed to do. Sometimes when we have monopolistic companies, Honorable Speaker, I cannot mention names, Honorable Speaker, but prices goes up, Honorable Speaker. And sometimes when they monopolize the market, they see as if it is their right, and they can set their prices at very high cost, Honorable Speaker, to the detriment of the common citizen. Honorable Speaker, see Kenya Power at the moment, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure if we bring competition in terms of Kenya Power, Honorable Speaker, and that there are also other players, private players, producing hydroelectric power or whatever power they can produce, even solar power, Honorable Speaker, you will see our electricity bills going down, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have in mind when it was only Safaricom, and I'm sorry to mention it, when it was the only one that was in the field, Honorable Speaker, it was charging almost 76 shillings per minute. I bought a SIM card from Safaricom at 2,500 shillings. But when it was opened up for competition, you can see now that we can even be given a SIM card free of charge. The airtime now for calling is 1 shilling per minute, Honorable Speaker. So when you open it up, I remember when there was no legal framework on the importation of boda boda, Honorable Speaker, we used to buy a motorcycle at 1 million. But nowadays, Honorable Speaker, motorcycle, because of that competition being open so that we can be able to import motorcycle, is now an industry called boda boda, employing millions of youth, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure even Kenya Airways, Honorable Speaker, we have created laws to monopolize the market. We are forcing citizen, public servant, employed by the government to travel using Kenya Airways in and outside our borders, Honorable Speaker. Yet they still make losses, Honorable Speaker. Yet we have some small airlines that they are not having a customer base like KQ, which have a customer base of government officials. They actually get their customers like Matatus, Beba Beba, Honorable Speaker, but they still make profits like Fly 540, Honorable Speaker, for instance, and Silverstone and the rest, Honorable Speaker. But when this Competition Authority of Kenya come into play, it should actually open up. If government officers want to travel with KQ, well and good. If they want to travel with any other airline, as far as it's a Kenyan airline that is employing Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, it will be well and good, and you will see the prices coming down and the efficiency in terms of that services will be increased, Honorable Speaker. But, Honorable Speaker, this is the work that they are supposed to do, and I want just to advise them that you have a heavy work ahead of you. I also want to urge them that let them also consider, in terms of competition, advising the government on some tax reprieve for businesses owned by persons with disability because they have to overcome certain challenges to be able to do business. You see hawkers with disabilities, Honorable Speaker, for them to be able to move from point A to point B, sometimes they need transporters, porters, and they also need to pay sometimes triple their transport fee or fares from one point to another one, because if you are on a wheelchair, you have to pay for yourself, you have to pay for the wheelchair, you have to pay for somebody who will go and push you and assist you to go and sell your merchandise in Kikomba, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, so they will also have to have a lens on how we can empower persons with disability in terms of businesses, because according to our motto nowadays is that persons with disabilities seek opportunities, not sympathy. So we are no longer beggars, we seek those opportunities, and sometimes the competition ground is not level. So if they can have that lens in their endeavor to make sure that there is a good competition, and if possible, there will be some tax reprieve for businesses owned by persons with disability, it will really assist a lot. And again, Honorable Speaker, lastly, it should actually make sure that our businesses, Kenyan-owned businesses, are protected so that as we welcome investors who will create employment for us, who will pay taxes in this country, Honorable Speaker, they also protect our own homegrown businesses so that they can also grow, because large economies have protected their own homegrown businesses from international competition. So they have a task ahead, and I wish them all the best, and I hope the House will pass this motion and approve them for nomination. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for that opportunity. I support.
The member for Wajir South, what is out of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand on Standing Order 95, indicating that looking and considering the mood of the House, that I think the mover to be called to reply. Thank you.
Is it the mood of the House that the mover be called to reply? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of our opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank all members who have contributed for their diverse and informed views and contributions, that the House should rest assured that if we appoint the four, they will carry out and implement the mandate of the Competition Authority of Kenya to protect consumers and ensure a fair playing competitive field for businesses and corporations. I beg to reply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I direct that the next steps on this particular business be undertaken when the matter will be set down on the order paper again. I direct that we move to the next order.
Order number 16, motion, consideration of the breast milk substitutes regulation and control, General Regulations 2021.
The Chairperson Committee on Delegated Legislation.
I'm here for Chair. Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the breast milk substitutes, regulation and control laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, November 10, 2021, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 28(5) of the Breast Milk Substitute Act 2012, approve the Breast Milk Substitute Regulation 2021, published as legal notice number 184 of 2021, with the exceptions of regulations 1, 2, and 27(1), which the committee recommends to this House to direct the Ministry of Health to amend.